Hello, nerds, geeks, and all variants in between. I'm Tony Diana, and this is Of Nerds and Geeks, pop culture from a certain point of view. Today I'm going to sit down with Jim Malcolm and talk about a ritual that is very important to Generation X, the Saturday morning cartoon. Let's check it out.
Okay, I'm here with Jim Malkin, writer, actor, father, all around cool dude. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good, Tony. How are you?
I'm great. And today we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to Gen X's heart, the Saturday morning cartoon. Do you remember those, Jim?
Do I ever?
I mean, the classic image, right? The kid with the blanket, a big bowl of sugary cereal, and just, enveloped in the glow of the TV watching these cartoons play off every Saturday.
I used to get up and we'd go to the grocery store and I'd get the variety pack of cereals where you'd crack open the box and you'd have your own little bowl in the box.
Yeah. Oh God, that's a lost tradition nowadays.
It is.
Kids today, kids say don't get Saturday morning cartoons like we had them.
They really don't.
I mean, the networks fought tooth and nail to get our attention, so we'd watch one of the networks of Saturday morning cartoons. It was a real competitive thing back in the day.
And the pre-show, the fall preview, my God.
That's right. Yeah, because right before September, October, or whatever, they would have a primetime special, usually a couple of guest stars. I remember once they had Kiss, once they had $6 Million Man Lee Majors, and they would just do a whole show rounded about the upcoming season of Saturday morning cartoons. It was like an event.
Yeah, it was. I remember that was that was like the big thing. It was always on a Friday night. And then you'd be like the next morning. Actually, I don't even know if it was the next morning. It might have been like 2 weeks ahead of when the shows were actually going on. Because I remember we had to wait.
Yes, that's anybody who's watching this who's not a Gen Xer will probably, or even, well, if you're a millennial or a Gen Zer, like, yes, we actually had to wait for stuff.
Yeah.
Our generation, like, we had to wait each week. We couldn't binge watch cartoons, right?
Yeah, and then we'd have commercials.
Yeah, I couldn't fast forward them. And then when a show ended, they gave you no notice.
Yeah.
They start playing reruns or a whole new show. You go, well, what happened to the Captain Caveman? I don't understand.
Yeah, it just disappeared forever. Hong Kong Phooey. I remember that one was gone. Jabberjaw.
Yeah, Jabberjaw, God. Skyman Crothers, he did Hong Kong Phooey, right?
He did. Yeah.
Do we know who did Jabberjaw?
No, but it was his voice was it was like a Curly from the Three Stooges.
I was gonna say he sounded a lot like that, but it probably wasn't. But they're definitely mimicking him. But I don't know. What were some of your favorite cartoons growing up?
Oh God. Well, Rocky and Bullwinkle when I was little, and I actually on occasion like Rocky and Bullwinkle now. But definitely Super Friends, Land of the Lost was a big one for me.
Yes.
There was Land of the Lost was a live, you could say live action, but it was really, it was live action, but it was like claymation dinosaurs, not the CGI we see today.
I didn't have CGI yet.
No, there was there was a cartoon, an animated show that was similar to Land of the Lost. I cannot remember the name of it, but that was my favorite. Believe it or not, I can't remember the name, but it was my favorite. It was one of my Saturday morning favorites. I liked Space Academy.
I remember that. Yeah.
Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle was another one.
It had the Tarzan Batman hour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The later on, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yes, that is a staple.
Yeah, that was usually that came on at 11:30, and then 12 came, and American Bandstand came on, and I was out. I was
switching channels. Yeah, because there was a lot of companies were really involved. Like Hanna-Barbera, Filmation, Marvel had a hand in a couple cartoons like the Spider-Man one, and they also helped with the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, which is another one of my personal favorites. Trying to think if Rankin and Bass had a cartoon going.
They did prime time. They did.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and you also had Sid and Marty Krofft for a while there with their shows. They're doing from being the Sea Monster all the way up to Electric Woman and Dinah Girl, Far Out Space Nuts. But yeah, there was a lot of them.
HR Puffin stuff.
One of my personal favorites.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I really rocked with the Sid and Marty Krofft shows. I don't know why. Far Out Space Nuts, Lost Saucer, Dr. Shrinker. It's just they're all just like gobbling them up, like Bigfoot and Wild Boy. It's gobbling that one up too.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember who produced that one.
Space Academy was a good one. I liked that one. That was during the Star Wars craze.
Yeah, because I used to get that confused with Jason of Star Command.
That was a spin-off of Space Academy.
Yeah, James Doohan was in Space Academy, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Because Walter Keown, who played Chekhov, he wrote episodes for Land of the Lost, Space Academy, and Jason of Star Command, I believe.
Oh wow.
He is a writer. He's written quite a bit for some of these shows, which is really phenomenal. Matter of fact, thing about Land of the Lost, what's cool is that they actually have some prolific sci-fi writers, Harlan Ellison and a few other stuff, actually have their hands into Land of the Lost. Because as a kid, I always felt that one like I don't know, it was like super serious, creepy, and everything compared to everything else.
Yeah, and it was a different like there were dinosaurs in it, and you're supposed to think it's all prehistoric, but no, there's a lot of sci-fi in that with the Slee Stack and the Crystal Caves.
The pylons, yeah.
Yeah.
And they always do like weird stories of like looping, like seeing themselves stuck in the barrier between the past and the present, or older Holly shows up. You know, she had been there for this whole time. She had lost her father and brother, so she's the only one alive. I mean, they got some really heady stuff for kids, I have to say.
Yeah. I remember the Medusa episode was my favorite.
Oh yeah, Medusa.
That one's out on YouTube. That one's out on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah. Actually, I think most of them are on YouTube now.
Yeah.
The other one I like too is Thundar the Barbarian.
Thundar the Barbarian. Yeah.
Again, that post Star Wars thing, he had the light sword, you know.
The light sword, the Wookiee-esque thing, and the princess.
Ukla aerial ride.
Yeah.
And what was the thing? Lords of Light! He would cry out an exclamation when he was shocked by something in a very He-Man sort of way, you know.
And we have Scooby-Doo. I mean, the early Scooby-Doo, pre-Scrappy.
I'd say which iteration? I mean, there have been hundreds of them up to all the way to present day.
The original run.
Mm-hmm. Scooby-Doo Mysteries. Then you have Scooby-Doo who would team up with Hollywood celebrities and stuff in cartoon form, like the Addams Family, Batman, and Three Stooges. Good stuff.
The early 70s Scooby-Doo. When they introduced Scrappy-Doo, I was done. When they got rid of Fred, Velma, and Daphne, and it was Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy, I was done.
Yeah, because it didn't really feel like the Mystery Gang, you know, Mystery Inc. was really going at it anymore. It's more like, let's just focus on more popular characters and goof off.
Yeah, shed the ones. What was the other one? There was another one I wanted to. Oh, Laugh Olympics. That was another one.
That's right. I remember that. Where they all compete in these sort of sports. All the cartoons of Hanna-Barbera, right?
Yep.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you can't see it, Jim, but I actually have the Hanna-Barbera collection as our backdrop for this one.
Oh, that's wild.
You got Johnny Quest up there. Dino's right there.
Yeah, I see him.
Yeah. You pointed right to Dr. Bannon. Shaggy's right off, actually, to you. He's right off here to your side. Fred, Flintstone, Banana Splits. You know that one? Oh,
I remember the Banana Splits.
Grape Ape.
Grape Ape.
Yeah. The other thing we got too growing up is that we got some of the recycled cartoons like Space Ghost, the Human Herculoids, things which even Johnny Quest was actually technically before our times ever so slightly, but they still reran them while we were growing up.
Yeah,
I was really glad that we got to experience those. Yeah,
I actually remember Johnny Quest was on Sunday mornings for me.
Yes, that's right. It was.
I think that was on Saturday.
But the thing I liked about Johnny Quest too is that was another one that seemed like a little more serious because the artwork was done very like dramatically, the lighting and stuff, and the stories were actually, were quite intelligent.
I would love to see a live, like they keep rebooting these old cartoons and these old shows. They've never done Johnny Quest. I would love to see that.
No, I mean, they tried the New Adventures of Johnny Quest, I think in the 90s, and the 2000s they did one where he was more of a computerized version dealing with computer stuff like that, and they got rid of Race and Dr. Quest, I think. Just didn't really float well.
Yeah, I know. Got to be a Gen X thing.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, pardon me, I will go down the Johnny Quest rabbit hole on YouTube. Like look up backstories or like how it was created, or how certain actors were like, wait, that kid did the voice for Johnny, and he's that oh my god, I don't remember it off the top of my head now, but the kid who did Johnny was actually somebody pretty famous.
Do you remember Jana of the Jungle?
Oh yeah.
It was like a female Tarzan.
Yeah.
I think it was done by the same people who did the Tarzan.
Filmations, probably.
Yeah, one of those.
Because Filmation did the Batman and Tarzan and the Lone Ranger, and Hanna-Barbera did the Super Friends.
Forgot about the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, because we got the cartoon versions in the early 80s, I think, of like the New Adventures of the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
But then they switched it up, and then you started seeing things like the Smurfs came along, Strawberry Shortcake. They didn't do one on Holly Hobby. Then they had the Snorkels, and
I have a younger brother, so I watched the Smurfs. I liked the Smurfs.
yeah, I did too. They had some really good. They had some really good ones, and they had some really stupid ones. And
yeah. But I actually enjoyed the Smurfs.
I know
They were Smurfy.
What's that?
They were Smurfy.
They were the smurfiest Smurfs I've ever smurfed in my entire Smurf life.
Smurf,
I'm just saying. Yeah, Smurf it. But yeah, one of the other things that I find that attracts us to not just the Saturday morning cartoon, not even the experience. I think it's just the idea of escaping back to when things were easier and simpler, and you didn't have that many cares in the world compared to being an adult and having to deal with bills, your house, your family, and all this other stuff. But just even when I'll go to Disney Plus and I'll watch Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends sometimes while I'm exercising or whatever, and I'll just be brought right back.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, the sun's streaming through. I'm like the only one up sometimes at certain times. But yeah, I was a nut for those things.
Yeah. I mean, when my kids were little, like they would watch some of them. My kids loved Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
So it was always my daughter is 20 years old, and occasionally I'll catch her watching Scooby-Doo. But she likes my younger daughter likes the reboot. They rebooted it, made it more current.
Oh, Velma.
But yeah, no, it's What's New Scooby-Doo, I think it's called.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
Okay, yeah.
It's the original Mystery Gang, but they made it current. So it's it was like a 70s thing. I mean,
yeah,
the band and everything.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that's another thing that helped shape the memory of these Saturday morning cartoons, because they were very era period specific. I mean, yeah, we were watching some of the 60s stuff with Space Ghost and Johnny Quest, but you could tell the tonal difference between watching something like that and the turnaround watching like Spider-Man or Thundar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are staples, right? I mean, you have Scooby-Doo, you have Bugs Bunny and Friends, Super Friends. Oh. They always seem like a staples, right? Like a Saturday morning consumer digest, And what I think is even better, and they'd probably be pissed about, is that we're talking about cartoons from different networks, and we're not even talking about the networks themselves.
I know. I don't know which network. I mean, like again, you just mentioned the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner hour.
Yeah,
I mean, that was all recycled cartoons from the early 70s, 60s, maybe 50s. Even
some of them were 50. Like the opera one, that I'm pretty sure that was in the late 50s that was made.
Yeah,
pretty sure. But yeah, they never run out of ways to recycle those cartoons.
Well, they have, because they don't air them anymore.
I meant back in the day.
I know. It's a shame. It's a shame the Saturday morning culture went away.
It is. I'm not sure what moved it on, whether it was programming, money, ads. I don't know, but yeah.
It might have been shows like Saved by the Bell. Like they tried to make sitcoms, because like Disney Channel, for my kids' generation, Disney Channel was their Saturday morning, regardless of whatever day it was. But they would watch like Hannah Montana, iCarly, all these shows now that they're bringing back as reboots.
Yeah, well, hey, there it is. It's gone full circle even with their generation. My daughter used to watch Nick and Night all the time.
Yeah, Nick and Night was cool.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, like I said, I think I don't like that they're gone, but I don't mind that they're gone, because again, you get to have that sense of nostalgia now of something that isn't anymore, that you got to be a part of, right? And there's something really enduring and sweet about it.
for me, when I was a little kid, it felt like something that was going to be around forever. So that's the thing that's disappointing. My kids never got to experience Saturday morning cartoons. They never got to experience that.
We had to buy the DVD for our daughter to experience Schoolhouse Rock.
We have that too.
Yeah, and like
Somewhere.
and I think you know his name better than I do. I can never remember him. The oh god, yellow guy put a sunshine
Time
on
for
a stick.
timer. Time for timer.
Time
Sunshine
for
on a
timer. He'd make things and in commercial breaks with a song or something. Presto, sunshine on a stick or whatever.
the cheese one. The slam us like a chunka, honka monka monka, slam for a chunka cheese.
Yeah, yeah, but just like little odd things that would roll in between, like little breaks that they would actually do because. Well, I know one of the ideas with Saturday morning cartoons, they never wanted the kids to make it feel like they were watching commercials because they didn't want to lose them. So that's why of course, they amped up the children's ads, but even the children's ads got wise to it by adding in cartoon characters within their commercials, right? So
McDonald's and Marty Croft.
exactly. Well, even all the cereal, Frankenberry, Boo
Yep.
Berry, Count Chocolate. I mean, they were cartoons right there. Tricks, Captain Crunch. I mean, they're all cartoons. So you ever really felt like you didn't really feel like you stopped watching cartoons, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
kept you glued and addicted.
yeah.
Hey, you got any more of those Saturday morning cartoons, man? You know,
I mean, I'd be up at 6 o'clock on Saturday. I don't get up at 6 o'clock ever now, but
I
like I
know.
would be up every Saturday at 6 o'clock in front of that TV until noon.
Well, yeah, because like whatever show it was, but I could always be guaranteed that between 6 and 7 there'd be some art program on, right?
There'd either be
Captain
like art
Bob or
program,
somebody.
some kind of local programming. It was always local programming. Like the actual cartoon started at 8, but there was always there was a show on called Ranger Station, and God, it was local to channel CBS affiliate in Hartford, and I have no memory what this show was about. I just knew it was about a park ranger, and he would actually like bring an animal out on occasion,
Okay.
but that's all I remember. I
Yeah, I
have
remember. Well, I used to Captain Bob. He'd walk in. He'd have all this maritime, like he worked on the docks. His house looked like a shack or a shanty on the sea, and he's coming. He would just draw wildlife
oh
every
yeah,
episode. I mean, that definitely helped me fall in love with art. Believe
yeah,
it or not, and drawing. It's like ooh. But even that one's like waking up early enough, like when you like nobody else is awake, you just kind of feel special because like you got this window of a time when nobody's gonna wake up. You can do whatever you want. You can watch these shows, and it just felt magical.
yeah.
You know?
But then of course, I mean, we were up at the crack of dawn by 7 o'clock on Saturday night. We're like, oh.
Yeah, yeah. But well, we were kids though, so I mean, even after watching cartoons, you'd buzz out of the house and
Be
you'd be
gone.
running around for the next 5 hours till the lights went down.
Yeah. Parents didn't have any idea where we were, or what we were doing, or who we were with.
That's true. I mean, because back then we had to come in when the lights turned on the street, right?
Yeah, yeah. Whatever time dinner was, be home at dinner, 5 o'clock for dinner. If you're late, you're not going outside tomorrow.
Exactly. Did any of those Saturday morning cartoons influence your play?
I'm sorry, can you ask the question again?
Did any of the Saturday morning cartoons influence your play as a child?
Oh, yeah, Land of the Lost, all the way. I lived near woods, and
As did
like
I.
Land of the Lost was a big thing. Like
Oh yeah.
pretending I was in a jungle and dinosaurs, like nothing's there, but I'd be running. Oh my God, he's gonna get us!
Yeah, I mean, Dungeons and Dragons definitely played a lot for me because I played Dungeons and Dragons when I got older. But as a kid, I just loved the idea of the magic and the sorcery and dragons. Like, ooh, but Land of the
It was
Lost for
yeah.
sure.
It always felt like Saturday morning influenced Saturday afternoon too, because it was fresh in your mind. Sometimes there'd be a scary cartoon, or not scary, but it'd be like I remember Dracula was on the Super Friends, and I remember going to bed thinking an animated Dracula was going to get me. Like like sometimes they'd be a little it'd be a little traumatic at bedtime when I
Yeah,
watched Saturday.
yeah, I can see that. The afternoons though were interesting. 'Cause like you'd mentioned, American Bandstand would come on, but then I remember CBS had this show. I don't remember. I want to say I, hmm, Big Blue Marble. I think was on earlier, but that was PBS, I think. But then in the afternoon they had like the children's. film something or another, where they would show films like 12, 1 o'clock, made by kids. You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
remember. I don't remember that.
Yeah, because I distinctly remember the boy being in front of the house and he got zapped by something, but it was like the film was literally scratched on to make the effect. Like early rotoscoping type stuff. It was hilarious.
That's interesting. I don't remember that one.
Yeah. I mean, I might be conflating it because a long time ago, but I have the memory of it being on in the afternoon after all the cartoons were done. And,
Huh.
again, because, I like film. I got into film, a lot because of those things.
The internet's a big place. I bet if you like typed in a few things about the show, you might get a hit.
Yeah. I mean, 'cause I found bits of the Big Blue Marble on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. What's funny is that the theme song is not what I remembered.
They never are.
I Big Blue Marble instead. Da, da, da. It's like, nope, that was a totally different song. I don't know what I'm singing, but that's not the theme song to that show. Damn it. Mine's better, by the way. But anyways, but yeah. But the other thing too is even looking back on it now, I mean, things change, of course, but even back then, a lot of the animation was really simple
Yeah,
artwork.
well, with the exception of, I remember Bugs Bunny was pretty good animated. I mean, Warner Brothers was up there with Disney in the 1950s.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's
ignoring Johnny Quest and ignoring that the caliber of the actual studio, I'm talking about like stuff from Filmation and Hanna Barbera. They just like,
oh yeah, very simple.
yeah, because even Spider Friends got choppy. Because
Yeah, they like I remember Tarzan running through the jungle, and they would just like run something behind the picture of Tarzan. It was literally like he's running across the screen, and they're moving in a background.
yeah, exactly. Because even Spider Man by season 3, they switched over to a Japanese animation studio, and you visually see the difference of the artwork of the cartoon. So that changed it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I think when the '80s came with the Smurfs, the Snorks, like it got even more simple. But they used brighter colors too. The
Mm,
color different.
yeah, you just made me, for some reason, you just reminded me of Speed Buggy.
Oh, Speed Buggy was another one.
Yeah, the way you
If you
used to
think
pop
about
the
that,
bits.
Scooby Doo with a car instead of a dog.
Yeah, basically. But as I was always reminded of Wonder Bug though with Speed Buggy.
I don't remember Wonderbug. I
It
do.
was Cinematic Croft is about these kids on the beach who had a magical car.
I remember
Wonder
Wonderbug.
Bug. Dun, dun,
Yep.
dun, dun,
I
yeah,
remember now. I didn't remember the name of it.
yeah. And the car. I don't know if it talked, but I know it had a lot of personality with the eyes and.
It had a lot of personality. It had eyes, and it used to have all these trinkets and stuff. It was like an Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, exactly. There's another one.
Oh, I gotta find that
I
now.
think it's on YouTube. But
Yeah, probably.
yeah, even just watching all
It's
the
in the.
openings to the old Sid and Marty Krofft will just take you right back.
I want to find. I'm gonna actually like make it my mission to watch one of those Saturday morning preview shows.
Yes, we should find one.
That would be. That would be
Oh
mad.
my god, we should find one and watch it sometime.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're out there.
It'll remind me of days when my mother would make me my little TV dinner in the tin tray, and I'd be like sitting in front of the TV on Friday night waiting for that to come on, eating my fish sticks.
Oh god, yeah. That's always the exciting bits, wasn't it? God.
So
Those
just,
were the days.
I know, gone are those days.
Hmm. But I mean, it's probably so many cartoons we probably haven't even touched on
Yeah,
that I mean, later on, they eventually did like Pac-Man. They did Donkey Kong, Star Wars droids, and Ewoks eventually had their own cartoon.
I
Um,
don't remember those. I remember Donkey Kong and I remember Pac-Man.
yeah, well, that's about the time I think like 84, 85 ish, like when I kind of started to stop.
Yeah,
You know,
some of that
less
might
and
have
less.
overlapped with my teen years too, like some of
Hmm.
the '80s stuff when I kind of lost interest in Saturday morning cartoons.
Happy Days did one with the
I
Fonz,
remember
and
Laverne and Shirley did one, and Laverne and Shirley would run around, and their sergeant was a pig,
yeah,
a
the,
literal pig with
the,
Arnold Horshack's voice from Welcome Back, Kotter.
yeah, because I think Fonzie had an alien
Yeah,
girl or son in a spaceship that hung out, or a dog.
they always brought some kind of element, whether it was like even like like either like they were like it was a cry it was a group of kids solving mysteries, or there were a rock band with a shark on drums and Josie and the Pussycats, like, you
Yeah.
know, like a lot of cartoons modeled after that formula in the 1970s, where they'd get into hijinks, and then they at the end of the day they would play a song.
Yep. Just to give you the full variety show effect,
Yeah, full variety effect.
Hey,
Right.
it's whatever works for kids. An adventure and fantasy sell for kids.
Yeah.
Because who wants to watch something realistic and have nothing happen in a TV show? It's like, well, I'm not an adult.
Reality was during the week when we had to go to school.
Exactly. And then you just reminded me of something else. The Shazam and Isis show, live action.
Nice show that was on CBS.
Yeah.
That's the network I know that they
Yeah,
were
I
on.
actually have a Shazam DVD here somewhere. But
Shazam. Do you remember the gods in Shazam? They were
they're,
basically a bunch of cardboard cutouts in a cave with a
they're-
cave back.
yeah, they're like stained glass looking, and their
Yeah.
eyes and their mouths are, Billy, you can't be speaking. You don't know what you're doing. Now get on it, Billy.
Their eyes would go back and forth like this when they were talking, or
We
something.
do not approve, Billy. You must listen to Mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And what was the deal with Mentor? Was that like his dad, or was it like an uncle, or like
it was his mentor sent by the gods to help him along.
I don't know.
Maybe
Where's this boy's parents?
Well, he was usually generally orphaned anyways.
Yeah,
but maybe he was a former Shazam for all we know. They never bothered, nor did they have to explain why he got to Winnebago and decided to go across country. And everywhere they drove to was dusty.
Yeah,
you never saw him in a city. Even when they ended up in a small town, they still took a dusty road in and out.
it was probably budget. It was probably like the Simi Valley Ranch or something, like where they filmed Little House on the Prairie, where
Yeah, because they're always mountains, like they're in the middle of Utah, Nevada, or something like that.
Yeah.
Colorado.
They're not outside LA.
They could have been, because even when they end up, like I said, but they end up in small towns, like that looks nothing like the road you drove in on. But yeah,
and a lot of those shows, like Bigfoot and Wild Boy, same thing. They're always like in a dusty, scrubby place.
Yeah, even though it's supposed to be in the Pacific Northwest, but sure, we'll go with the desert.
Like the outskirts of Los Angeles, but we'll go with northern Washington.
Is that a palm tree? I don't know.
I don't get it. I mean, that's what they did with the Waltons. The Waltons was filmed right on the other side of the hill from the Hollywood sign. It's supposed to be the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Pretty convincing.
Yeah, that works. Who's going to question it? And what else they have? ISIS. The Secrets of ISIS.
We got her backstory. Like the opening of the show was her backstory.
Oh yeah, well, she was an archaeologist, and
took her a while to turn into ISIS, though. She always had to say "Almighty ISIS," and then she'd go up and twirl around and fly. Like while you're doing that, like the bad guys could totally get away.
Oh, Almighty ISIS! Crap.
All dressed up and nowhere to go. Boo-hoo.
Yeah, but she was probably one of my first crushes.
Yeah, it was kind of like I think at the same time Linda Carter was doing Wonder Woman on Friday night. So it was kind of like she was like when you order Wonder Woman from Wish.
Yeah, but she's a beautiful woman, though.
She was a beautiful woman. I actually heard she passed away a few years ago, the actress.
Yeah. Did you have any other Saturday morning crushes?
Electro Woman and Dyna Girl.
Dyna Girl. Always Dyna Girl, not Electro Woman. Electro Woman seems like the mom, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Dyna Girl is like the young one with the pigtails, like.
Well, Electro Woman's Marlena on Days of Our Lives.
That is true. She is.
She still looks good. I mean, she was the Electro Woman in the 70s, and she pretty much looks the same.
Yeah, they've remade that one twice already into two different movies.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I only remember the original.
Yeah, the remake, the first one, which I think was done in the 90s, took it from the point of view of like trying to make it a little more like a episode of the week type scenario with their pilot. So it's very like almost not as humorous or campy. You know what I mean? Even though the effects were terrible. The remake, which was done with a couple of YouTube stars, was actually a little more funnier because it took from the point of view where like they realize they're outdated and they have to do something to kind of like refresh themselves through social media and stuff. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but
I would like to see. So they should do something like that's a good thing to do. If you ever want to bring back something from the 70s and make it geared towards current people, have that situation where they come back and they've got to dust themselves off and be like, okay, I'm a relic from the past.
I personally myself would like all these properties to be redone, but I give them all the Brady Bunch format. They're
Yeah.
still stuck in their time that they deal with the real world around them, and just like, uh, nothing beats that for me.
I know they've done Scooby Doo, and I can tell you I've never seen one of the Scooby Doo movies that they made, but they don't. From what I've seen, they're kind of like they don't do that. They're dressed like the 70s, but it's totally like the 90s.
Yeah,
And
very much
nobody
so.
says anything about the way they're dressed.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing too is that so trying to redo it today, you kind of have to change things because we kind of all knew Shaggy was stoned the whole time, right?
Oh yeah,
That's why
absolutely.
he could understand the dog and nobody else could.
Yeah.
Like, I think Scooby snacks were gummies before gummies were invented. Either that was Coke and the thing. They all got courage after, right?
Yeah,
Even
he always
Shaggy
got
enjoyed them. Well, Shaggy always had the munchies, so.
yeah, Shaggy, and he was rail thin.
Yeah, I don't know if that's from the Coke or what,
Yeah,
but
I mean, clearly the dude was strung out.
like, like doing Scoob. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I remember the other one I liked was Josie and the Pussycats in Outer Space.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I actually, who my favorite character was? Sebastian the cat. The
Wasn't
little,
he cantankerous?
oh yeah, he's paramount of villain because he always team up with what's her face, Veronica. Diane?
Veronica, what's her name? Veronica.
Yeah, because it's Veronica and her brother who are their agents, and
Yeah,
Veronica
and
was
they're
always
mean.
going after Josie's boyfriend,
Yeah,
I believe. But yeah, Sebastian, I don't know, I just love that cat. I loved Azrael from the Smurfs.
yeah.
I like certain cat characters, Sylvester. I just like certain cat characters.
I always felt bad for Sylvester. All he wanted to do was eat the bird.
Hey,
Because the bird was annoying.
Tweety.
Yeah.
Well, how about Coyote and Roadrunner?
That's another one. Like seriously, right here.
Oh yeah, there you go. Perfect.
The Roadrunner was their Coyote is one of my favorite cartoon characters of all time. To be honest with you.
Really,
Yeah, because he's not really a villain. All he wants to do is eat.
he's a predator and he's acting like one.
Yeah, and the Roadrunner like deserves to be on a plate with a side of yams at this point.
Trigger
That
warning.
Coyote
Trigger
has
warning.
he's
What's that?
earned it. He's earned it.
He's earned it. Yeah, for all these years. Well, Roadrunner he's gonna be very gamey from all that running.
Yeah,
So I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, as long as he's into that, that's wonderful.
Roadrunners aren't that big either.
No, they're not. They're not.
So
But I did like switch subject real quick before we wrap this up. I did like one thing I always appreciated was the fact that they always carried over Adam West as Batman in the cartoons.
yeah,
It's kind of like Kevin Conroy, rest in peace, today doing Batman for over 30 years. I mean, Adam West from live action to the cartoon, they just like, yeah, let's throw him in there. Because
yeah,
in the original one, I think they had Burt Ward and then Casey Kasem took over after that.
yeah. I know. The Super Friends Batman. I don't think that was Adam West.
It was for a while.
It was.
I don't know how far it lasted, but because eventually it changed over into something else. I think I'm pretty sure the early ones, first couple seasons, it was Adam West.
I
Yeah,
love with the Super Friends how they always had to have the teenage kids in there. It was
Jan and Zana, the
it was
Wonder
Jan,
Twins,
the Wonder Twins, and then before that it was Wendy and Marvin with
Wendy and Marvin, and the dog,
the dog. I don't remember the dog's name. And the
Wonder
space
Dog. I don't know.
Gleep or Gleep.
Gleek, Gleek, Gleek.
Gleeked.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. Well, again, kids, right?
Yeah.
Make you feel like you're writing the adventure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan and Zana kind of creeps me out a little bit. I don't know if it's the hair or the eyes or the
Pointy ears.
or the pointy ears. Pointy ears didn't bother me. It's just there's something weird about like Dan's his smile just was always like weird,
Yeah.
and I don't know, just something's kind of off about that guy. the way they did it. I mean, I'm sure their brother and sister nowadays are probably sleeping together, but
Yeah, yeah.
this is normal in space. What?
Well, if you watch the Super Friends now, that's another good example of how the animation was very poor. That show had very poor animation.
It was Filmation. It was very cheap. That was Hanna-Barbera. I mean, it was still cheap regardless.
Yeah,
Very cheap animation.
it was the
And
bare minimum.
it was the bare minimum. And we right even now as 50-plus-year-old men, we're like, oh my god, this stuff was so good.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it was very cheaply done, but the Dracula episode terrified the crap out of me.
There you go. There you go.
It was
So,
effective.
so final thoughts on Saturday morning cartoon. What's your takeaway now as a older Gen Xer looking back on it?
I'm glad I got to experience it. I'm glad I grew up during the most magical time to grow up. I know every generation probably says that.
Yeah.
For me, I feel privileged that I was able to experience that, because generations going forward aren't going to have that feeling unless something's done to change
True.
things.
I definitely feel grateful that I got to do it. I'm happy that I did. I mean, it was my experience. It was my childhood. I had no choice. I get that, but there's something very, for me personally, something very endearing and potent about those Saturday morning cartoons. Whether it fed into my imagination as an adult, as an artist, or whatever. But it's just, I don't know. They're special to me.
Yeah,
So they will be missed.
they are sadly missed.
They are. But hey, you guys can probably watch them on YouTube anytime you want. There probably a lot of them are out there. All right, Dan. Well, thank you so much. This has been a fun conversation.
It has been. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Maybe sometime we'll pick a couple of the shows apart, or even find one of those fall previews and we can watch it together with everyone and just be like, remember that?
Oh, that would be fun.
Could be fun. All right. You take care.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed that panel. If you have, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future videos. Also, don't forget to visit my merchandise store where you can find cool swag with artwork done by yours truly. Until then, grab a bowl of cereal, sit down, and remember to watch your favorite Saturday morning cartoon. Well, on YouTube anyways.